Alright, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We continue again. A new topic, the main provision in Malay Constitution. Apakah perkara-perkara utama atau peruntukan utama di dalam perlembagaan Malaysia? Alright, dalam topik ni, in this topic, we're going to discuss the first one is introduction, and then concept of constitution. What are the concept in Malaysian constitution? And then we go through the 5 main provision. The first one is language, secondly is religion, and then citizenship, and then number 4 is fundamental freedoms, and the last one is indigenous people right. So these are the 5 main provision in Malaysian constitution. So let's have a look at the introduction. The Federal Constitution of Malaysia in 1963 is based on the Constitution of the Federation of Malaya in 1957. So we discussed before that, the moment we got an independent, we plan to have an independent, so we have a commission to draft the Constitution of Malaya 1957. And then after that, the Prime Minister come up with the idea to make the country Malaya become bigger. Alright, so they want to create Gagasan Malaya, means a combination of other state or other countries beside Federation of Malaya. So that was in 1963. Initially, we have Sabah, Sarawak, and Singapore. And then after Singapore leave Malaysia, so we have Federal Constitution 1963. But basically, this Constitution of 1963 basically is based on the Constitution of Federation of Malaya 1957. And then two type of constitution in Malaysia. We have two type. The first one is Federal Constitution, and secondly is State Constitution. State Constitution refer to all states in Malaysia: Sabah, Sarawak, Selangor, Pahang, Kelantan, Perlis, and other states. And Federal Constitution is the central government, right? Means the Malaysian government as a nation. And then separation of these powers aim at ensuring smooth operation and avoidance of dispute between the central government and internal security problems and state government. Okay, so the reason why we have these two different constitution, federal and state, is to ensure smooth operation and to avoid disputes between the central as well as the state, because state government, they have their own different constitution which refer to the matter of land. So land in Kelantan and land in Selangor is different, means the matters, the ownership is different based on the constitution. And secondly is related to local government. So Kelantan state cannot interfere Selangor state. Selangor state cannot interfere Terengganu state. Terengganu state cannot interfere Perlis state, for example. And services in each state are different, as well as goes to the Islamic laws. Islamic laws are different between one state and another. So if you look at the current issues, for example, in Selangor and in Kuala Lumpur, whenever the state government allow to pray Jamaah, for example, but in Selangor it's not allowed. So why it is different? Because Islamic matters or Islamic law are different based on the state. Okay, next, concept of constitution. Okay, a constitution is a collective measures and guideline for regulating the administration of the country. So it's kind of a manual, guideline, step by step, do and don'ts, what we can do and what is unable to do, what is lawful and what is unlawful based on the constitution. So each country, they have their own constitution. They have their guideline and regulation different. Malaysia constitution might be different, of course, definitely with Singapore constitution. Singapore constitution definitely different than Indonesian constitution. So the Malaysian constitution is only meant for Malaysian citizen. That's why the other country cannot question or they cannot interfere or interrupt any laws which been possessed or bound with the constitution. Next, a constitution contains a set of rules concerning right, power, procedures, and responsibility of those who are controlled and or guide the relationship between one authority and another, and also between the authority and the general public. So, right, the power of the authority is bound with the authority. So, for example, any organization, any entity, business, company, individual, their authority are based on the constitution. For example, we are the employee and the employer. So they have a right of the employee. So it's bound in the constitution. Next, in Malaysia, the constitution is the only institution of source of legislation that is permanently supreme. Permanently supreme means the highest laws or regulation is the constitution. Even though we have a law, for example, we have guideline, rules, and regulation in the company, but that company regulation will not be higher than the constitution. So the only rules and regulation which is permanently supreme is the Constitution of Malaysia. Alright, the Malaysia Constitution contains 15 sections, 183 clauses and articles, 180 clauses or article, and 15 schedules. So this overall about Malaysian Constitution. So how many sections? 15. Clause and article 183 and 15 schedules. The Malaysian Constitution, like the written constitution of the other countries, can be amended through the process of parliament. Is on the article of 159. So again, whenever we say that the constitution of Malaysia is permanently supreme, but the question is, can that constitution be changed? The answer is, under the article of 159, yes, the constitution can be amended. We can change the constitution, but it have to go the process of parliament. So later on, we have discussed this before. In order for certain rules and laws to be amended or imposed in this country, it need to go few process, and this process need to go through Dewan Rakyat, and then they have first reading, second reading, third reading, and then move to Dewan Negara and follow the process again, first reading, second reading, third reading, and then last is endorsement from the Yang di-Pertuan Agong, and then later on it can be imposed. Another body will taking care of the implementation of the law, which is the judiciary body. Okay, next, the important provision in the Constitution of Malaysia. So under the Federal Constitution, there are 5 main provisions. Ada 5 perkara utama di dalam perlembagaan tanah Melayu ataupun di dalam perlembagaan Malaysia. The first one is national language, bahasa kebangsaan. It's under Article 152, Section Section berapa ni? Section 5. Okay, so you find out which section is this in Romanian numbers. So under Articles 152, yang pertama adalah bahasa kebangsaan. Number 2 is religion. Number 3 is citizenship. Number 4 is fundamental freedom, hak asasi manusia, hak asasi. Okay, and then the last one is special provision, special position of the Malays and indigenous people of Sabah and Sarawak. Hak istimewa orang-orang Melayu, orang-orang asal Sabah dan orang-orang asal Sarawak. So ini ada di dalam peruntukan perlembagaan. Okay, let's have a look at the first main provision, national language. So peruntukan utama, ada benda-benda perkara-perkara yang penting dalam perlembagaan. What is the national language of Malaysia? Bahasa Malaysia atau bahasa Melayu, a Malay language. Bahasa Melayu is the national language to replace English language. So before, the national language was in the time of British, English was the national language. But whenever we got independent, the national language replacing English language is Bahasa Melayu. There is no prohibition of using, teaching, or learning other languages. Tidak ada larangan ataupun kekangan untuk mempelajari bahasa-bahasa ibunda yang lain pada kaum Melayu, pada kaum Cina, India, Kadazan, Dayak. Tidak ada kekangan. But official language, a national language of Malaysia is Malay language. Malay language is used for all official purposes such as official dealing with Yang di-Pertuan Agong, the central and state government function. Apa-apa urusan rasmi kerajaan negeri, urusan rasmi kerajaan Malaysia, urusan rasmi dengan Yang di-Pertuan Agong, all these need to use official language which is Bahasa Melayu. Rationale for using Malay language. Apakah logik atau rasionalnya menggunakan bahasa Melayu? Lingua franca was widely used during the golden age of Malacca. Okay, so this is a lingua franca in the time of Malacca Empire. So we are using Malay language, and then easy to learn. Native speakers of Malay outnumber other native speaker. Solid from terms and pronunciation throughout the country. Use the Romanized letters beside Jawi. So bahasa Melayu menggunakan huruf Romanized. Okay, huruf-huruf tulisan Roman. Tapi bahasa Melayu lama menggunakan tulisan-tulisan Jawi. Jadi dia mudah dipelajari. Orang yang menggunakan bahasa Inggeris boleh mempelajari bahasa Melayu dengan mudah sebab dia menggunakan huruf Roman. Clear phonemes and syllables with the fixed and firm principles. So basically, bahasa Melayu antara bahasa yang mudah untuk dipelajari. Next, the Malay language as the national language is recorded under Article 152, which underline that the national language decided upon is the Malay language. Nobody will be prohibited or hidden from using, teaching, or learning another language. The government has the right to maintain the use and learning the language of any other community in the Federation. The status of Malay language cannot be questioned, otherwise can be accused of committing an offence under the Sedition Act 1948. Jadi, status bahasa Melayu tidak boleh dipersoal. Kalau dipersoalkan, boleh didakwa di dalam Akta 1948. Jadi kemuliaan keistimewaan bahasa Melayu sebagai bahasa rasmi ini haruslah dipelihara dan tidak boleh diganggu gugat. Okay, next, religion. Islam is the official religion of the Federation, but other religions are allowed to be practiced peacefully. Bahasa rasmi negara Malaysia adalah agama rasmi untuk negara Malaysia adalah agama Islam. Sultan is the head of Islam in the state of concern. State without Sultan, the head of the Islam is Yang di-Pertuan Agong. Jadi negeri-negeri yang punya Sultan, Sultan adalah ketua agama Islam. Okay. Jadi untuk negeri-negeri yang tidak ada Sultan, contohnya Melaka, Pulau Pinang, jadi ketua agamanya adalah Yang di-Pertuan Agong. And then State Legislative Assembly has the power to enact articles concerning Islamic law, such as the power of court. Sharia court is empowered to impose a prison sentence or not more than 3 years, a fine to 5,000 or 6 stroke of the rotan, of both. Jadi State Legislative Assembly ada kuasa untuk meminda hal ehwal agama. Jadi dia tertakluk kepada kerajaan negeri. Tetapi Federation memberitahu bahawa agama rasmi untuk negara Malaysia adalah agama Islam. Dan ini juga tidak boleh dipersoalkan. Okay, next, citizenship, kewarganegaraan. Citizenship is a special status held by the people who have the right to be in the country. Kewarganegaraan, warga negara Malaysia adalah status istimewa untuk sesiapa sahaja yang mempunyai hak istimewa sebagai rakyat Malaysia. Dia ada hak-hak istimewa. Apakah hak-hak tu? Kita akan discuss. Some of the special rights of the citizen obtained are to vote in election and to take an active part in politics. Warga negara Malaysia dia mempunyai hak untuk mengundi. Bukan warga negara Malaysia mereka tiada hak untuk mencabut ataupun membuang undi. Kemudian warga negara Malaysia juga adalah layak untuk aktif di dalam politik. Means boleh jadi YB. They can be the parliament members. Next, free to own landed property. Jadi mereka bebas untuk memiliki tanah di Malaysia. Next, to receive a number of benefit and facilities in the country. Segala manfaat dan segala kemudahan-kemudahan yang diberikan kepada warga negara Malaysia boleh dinikmati. Freedom of movement throughout the country. Bebas untuk bergerak di mana-mana sahaja di Malaysia sebab mereka adalah warga negara Malaysia. Kemudian the right to exile. Okay, next. A person can obtain citizenship status in Malaysia based on the following: jus soli, jus sanguinis, marriage and naturalization. Ada 4 cara seseorang boleh mendapatkan taraf ataupun status warga negara Malaysia. Okay, number 1, jus soli ataupun the laws of the birthplace. Citizenship status is automatic for people born in Malaysia between Independence Day and 1957 until 1962. Those born after 1962 can be citizen if they fulfill one of the condition below. Jadi bahasa mudahnya jus soli ni adalah mendapat taraf warga negara Malaysia dengan lahir di Malaysia. Regardless your parents bukan orang Malaysia, orang apa pun dari seluruh dunia, tapi sekiranya kelahiran itu lahir di Malaysia, anak itu boleh ataupun layak untuk mendapatkan taraf warga negara Malaysia. Okay. Dan syaratnya of course lah, dia bukanlah warga negara lain. So Malaysia tak allow have two citizenship. So you have to choose. For example, you have parents bukan orang Malaysia, orang China for example, ataupun orang daripada Rusia. So it means you're entitled to have a Russian nationalism, citizenship, and Malaysia because you're born in Malaysia. So but in order to have a Malaysian citizenship, you mestilah bukan warga negara-negara lain. Tapi kalau you dah pilih kewarganegaraan daripada Rusia, you are no longer become a Malaysian citizenship, walaupun you lahir di Malaysia. Okay, next is jus sanguinis. The law according to the blood descent, bergantung kepada pertalian darah. Ini bermaksud sesiapa sahaja yang lahir di luar negara selain daripada Malaysia boleh mendapatkan kewarganegaraan Malaysia dengan syarat the father was born is a citizen of federation. Ayahnya mestilah orang Malaysia walaupun anak tu lahir luar daripada Malaysia. Okey, jadi untuk anak itu menjadi warga negara Malaysia walaupun dia tak lahir di Malaysia, Okay, ada beberapa syarat. Yang pertama, ayahnya orang Malaysia, of course. Kedua, ayahnya memegang jawatan sebagai public service at the federal or state level. Government service lah. Maknanya dia bekerja di sektor kerajaan, sama ada di peringkat negeri ataupun di peringkat federal. Kemudian haruslah didaftarkan anak itu sebagai warga negara dekat consulate or in Malaysian government dalam tempoh 1 tahun proses setelah dia lahir. So after 1 year means there is no eligibility for that child to apply for the Malaysian citizenship. Jadi walaupun anak-anak orang Malaysia, ayahnya orang Malaysia, anak itu lahir di luar negara. Okey, jadi anak itu boleh jadi warga negara Malaysia dengan syarat-syarat yang tertentu ni lah. Jadi boleh dapat kewargaan Malaysia. Next is through marriage, melalui perkahwinan. Given the right to the foreign woman who is married to the Malaysian citizen to apply to become a citizenship is given through registration. Pendaftaran apabila berkahwin dengan rakyat orang Malaysia boleh apply menjadi warga negara Malaysia. The following condition must be fulfilled. If the husband is citizen in October 1962 or prior to that, the marriage is still binding. Or the foreign woman has lived in the Federation for 2 years before application is made, has the intention to continue living in the Federation and it's a good conduct. Mesti berkelakuan baik. Dan ada niat untuk tinggal lebih lama di tanah ataupun di Malaysia. Citizenship through registration. Syaratnya the citizenship of the parents, the place of the resident, knowledge of the Malay language, interest to stay permanently and take an oath and allegiance to Malaysia. Saya ada bersangka sumpah. Okay. Untuk setia untuk menjadi rakyat Malaysia. Orang yang rakyat Malaysia of course dia akan setia lah. Kita tak nak orang warga negara lain yang cuba memporak-perandakan setelah menjadi warga negara Malaysia. Jadi kita tahu orang Malaysia, tanah Melayu, ataupun bumi Malaysia ini adalah milik kita. Jadi kita ada rasa semangat cintakan negara. Kita nak jaga negara, keharmonian, keamanan. Kita berperilaku baik. Kita tak nak berlaku porak-peranda pada negara kita. Kemudian keempat is process neutralization. And Article 19 of the Malaysian Constitution provide to be an opportunity to provide opportunity to residents who are not born in Malaysia to become a Malaysian citizen. Jadi dalam proses neutralisasi, tapi syaratnya mestilah berumur 21 tahun ke atas, tinggal di Federation at least 10 out of 12 years, kemudian ada intention untuk tinggal dengan lebih lama di Malaysia dan berkelakuan baik, and then have a sufficient knowledge of Malay language, ada ilmu ataupun maklumat yang bagus tentang bahasa Malaysia. Jadi bagaimana mudah boleh dapat citizenship? Seorang juga boleh lost citizenship status. Dua cara. Sama ada dia reject untuk jadi rakyat Malaysia, ataupun a person have involved in law committed, buat salah laku. Salah laku ni termasuklah jadi rakyat warga negara lain. He is enjoying all the right and facilities in another country. Tak boleh juga, boleh hilang kerakyatan. A woman become a citizen of foreign language through marriage with a man from other country concerned and act negatively, showing he is no longer loyal to Malaysia. Dia tak setia lagi dengan negara Malaysia. And then has been sentenced in a state within a period 5 years. And then give service to another country without permission. Live continuous for 5 years in foreign country unless he is service with or behalf of the Malaysian government. The citizen have false obtained. Kerakyatan yang didapati secara tidak sah, boleh dihilang kerakyatan. A foreign woman who regularly who acquired her citizenship status through marriage is divorced from the husband, except in the case of divorce where the husband has passed away. Bila bercerai, maka citizenship dia pun tidak lekat dengan dia. Okay. Jadi ini antara punca-punca ataupun cara-cara bagaimana kerakyatan boleh hilang pada seseorang itu. Jadi kita berhenti setakat ini saja. Kita sambung lagi. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.